3 stimulus checks are sending out this month. Lawmakers are finally taking action for the people. Now, friends, states had a budget surplus in 2022, or excess money from stimulus aid. This means a windfall for many taxpayers who can expect a one-time direct deposit and plenty of time for the holiday season. Many Illinois residents could soon see checks in the mail or money in their bank accounts thanks to new income and property tax rebates. Under the governor's Illinois Family Relief Plan, which was approved in April, a one-time individual income tax return and property tax rebate will be issued to those who meet certain income requirements. And now, payment distribution is expected to begin September 12, but not for everyone. Qualified property owners will receive a rebate equal to the property tax credit claimed on their tax form, with a maximum payment of up to $300. Rebates will be distributed in this method that your original income tax refund was sent. But if you didn't receive a refund, or if you were given a paper check refund, it may take longer for the rebate to be issued. Residents in the state of Colorado will be receiving additional checks. Colorado Governor Jared Polis announced that individual tax filers will receive refund checks of $750 and joint filers can expect $1,500. The money comes from a clause in the Colorado Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which gives the state legislature power to determine how to refund excess tax revenue to those who pay for it. Governor Polis initially announced the cashback rebate in April of this year. At the time, the governor said individual filers will receive a $400 check and joint filers will receive an $800 check. However, a better than expected tax revenue at the end of this fiscal year means residents will be paying more money in their rebate. Taxpayers who filed their 2021 returns before June 30th are eligible to receive the rebate. The Auditor of the State's office has also announced that Indiana residents who have waited for taxpayer refund checks could finally see relief. The governor, Eric Holcomb, who called a special session for the Indiana General Assembly to provide inflation relief, signed Senate Bill 2 last week, which set parameters for all qualifying people to receive the additional $200 checks. The governor said in a statement, "I'm extremely pleased to see the House advance the Senate Bill 2 that advances and includes returning $1 billion back to taxpayers in the form of automatic taxpayer refunds." The Department of Revenue plans to begin its process of issuing direct deposits later this month. The Department of Revenue will handle direct costs, deposits, while the auditor's office managers checks. And also, upon his signing of the bill, a $200 automatic taxpayer refund is now given out to every qualifying resident. The refund is in addition to the $125 refund taxpayers received upon filing their 2022 taxes from higher than expected revenues last fiscal year.
Imported for the first time since 1949. Donald Trump achieved energy independence. However, since Biden came to office, the national average for a gallon of gasoline is over $1.30 higher per gallon. Electricity costs are 15% more, and at this point, Biden has leased fewer acres of offshore and federal land for domestic oil and gas production than any president in 70 years. Also, on this day of his presidency, Biden killed the Keystone XL pipeline, which could be supplying 830,000 barrels of oil a day from Canada to America. Higher gas prices increase delivery costs, increasing by inflation, which destroys jobs. Irresponsible decisions by Biden and the Democrats are responsible for the energy crisis. God bless our troops who successfully protected America for 20 years. As the global war on terrorism moves from the safe haven of Afghanistan to America, we will...
Which we've been trying to do since the hateful, anti-democratic Citizens United decision came down from an irresponsible court, to, again, trying to pass disclosure, which couldn't get one Republican vote in the Senate to do that. But again, part of this election has to be to rescue our democracy from big, dark, special interest money. And that will restore people's confidence that their vote and their voice is as important as anyone's. Our legislation does just that. It's passed the House a number of times. It actually had the more than 50 votes in the Senate, but it did not have enough to remove the famous filibuster screen that is there. So when we celebrated the Inflation Reduction Act yesterday at the White House, each of us, whether it was Chuck Schumer or the president, or in my remarks, we all talked about how this fits under the president's agenda of fairness, of equity, of inclusiveness in our society, in our economy, in our prosperity. And it includes, of course, starting with the American Rescue Package, which rescued that, just indeed, America, our economy, our people from where they had been in the previous administration. The infrastructure law, bipartisan bill, putting millions to work building America and delivering clean water and broadband, with a strong commitment to justice and fairness and equity in the legislation involving many more people in our prosperity. The PACT Act, something we've all worked on for such a while. I salute Mark Takano, the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, Raul Ruiz, who worked with him on this, with this legislation. It's remarkable. Nearly $250 billion will be spent to protect the health of our workers, and I'd love to go into it, our veterans, go into it more if you ask. And then the bipartisan Safer Communities Gun Violence Prevention, which was bipartisan. It's a good first step. We have more to do. But nonetheless, all of these are very, very important. And of course, the CHIPS and Science Act, which again, inclusion, diversity, reaching out, bringing more people in through the science part of it, which is about education and research and fairness, as well as the CHIPS part, which is all of it a national security issue for us. So rescue, PACT, CHIPS and science, infrastructure law, and again, safety in our communities, culminating now in the the Inflation Reduction Act. So again, Democrats are always there for the people. We put people over politics, and it's a pretty dramatic time as you see the Republicans putting forth a ban. A majority of the Republicans in the House.
Of relief. Evidently, Senator Scott believes that $2 trillion in Republican tax cuts that were not paid for is fine, so long as those tax cuts are aimed mostly at billionaires, millionaires, and giant corporations. But a program that costs a fraction as much and for which 90% of its benefits go to people earning less than $75,000 a year is now somehow a moral outrage. Today, he claims to worry about those taxpayers who he says will shoulder student loan cancellation. But where was Senator Scott, or then Governor Scott, when Donald Trump and the congressional Republicans handed out $2 trillion in tax breaks to billionaires and giant corporations, not a penny of which were paid for? Where was he then? Well, he endorsed the Trump administration's plan to cut taxes for corporations, and he celebrated those tax breaks for the richest among us. He wasn't worried about how taxpayers would pay that off, not a word about the fairness for all the people who would bear that burden, so long as the benefits went mostly to the rich and the powerful. Senator Scott has basically laid it all out there for America.